Okay, good evening YouTube. Welcome back to this next episode of FPL Family with me, Lee, and this is Sam. And what is that now for Ruud van Nistelrooy? Played for 1-3, drawn 1, I think, against Chelsea, wasn't it, last weekend? So not a bad record for Ruud van Nistelrooy.
He was saying in the car on the way home from Spurs, he wasn't in the car with me. He was being interviewed on the radio.
Yeah, right.
and he was saying in the interview, they were asking him, what's happening with you? And he was like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a little bit of not sure there, isn't there?
Going back to my office now to wait to be told.
Yeah.
It's like...
Surely Amorim has him as part of it. He's part of the club. The fans love him. He's a United legend.
I don't know, Lee. So they were debating this on the radio, and they were talking about how all of them then kind of unanimously, and it was like Robbie Savage and those guys, so take it with what you will.
Yeah, okay.
But they all sort of unanimously agreed that they wouldn't have him because I think because they think that that as the manager you should be able to bring in your own team and not be forced to have somebody else as part of a team that works.
Yeah,
just because he's a club legend and he could go and do other legend work. Like Ledley King's a legend at Spurs. Postecoglou's not forced to have him as part of his backroom staff. Like he goes off and does the ambassadorial stuff.
Yeah, well, let us know what you think, United fans. You're on a decent run under him.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say... I mean, it's probably as much to do with Ten-Hag leaving as it is with Van Nistelrooy coming in and doing what he's doing. But you can't knock it. Another very good win today. Okay, Leicester City at home. Not the most difficult of fixtures you'd say on paper. And Leicester, bad away from home, leaky goals. Yes. But another stunning Bruno goal. He stepped up in the last few weeks. We've got to talk about him. That's why I put him on the radar, and I put him bang in the middle of the thumbnail for this video, because you, Sam, had a little bit of a punt on him going into your wildcard this week, and we sat here last week and we did your wildcard draft, and there was a couple of things I really liked about it. One was the Rodgers and Wood rotation over the next few weeks. Got to talk about that. You've ruined Chris Wood. I'm sorry, Chris Wood owners. That's it. He's done.
Okay.
But the Bruno and Dallo, we've got to talk about him, I'm afraid. Dallo as well.
Dallo.
That's a difficult one to take. That's a difficult one to take.
Can we just have 1 minute for this? Because
yeah, go on.
Because obviously I went to Spurs today, and in about a 5-minute period, I went from being like, so Spurs were doing Spursy things, and then I was like, oh, okay, we're at 60 minutes. Let's just see what's going on at United then, because I started to think about clean sheets at that point.
Yeah, of course.
It was literally so dreadful what I was watching that I was like, I need something. And when I clicked on SofaScore on the United game and was like, are you
57, wasn't it?
joking me?
57.
And then I nearly texted you and said, please tell me that wasn't, is that an injury or is that just a sub? No, it's just a sub. What are you doing, Van Nistelrooy? That's why I don't want him as part of the backroom staff. Get him out.
Well, as Martin Treaky Swartz, hey Martin, he's saying Ruud deserves to be a head coach somewhere.
No, he deserves to be sacked for the Dallo subbing at 57 minutes.
The Dallo sub has upset a few of his owners.
Upset a lot of us.
Mark Nash is saying a minute silence for Dallo. Yeah, if you had Dallo for whatever reason, maybe you decided to go for a little bit of a Manchester United punt on your wildcard like Sam did. It was the right thing. Same for you Trent owners. It was the right thing. But now he's got an injury, potentially. We've got to keep an eye on that over the international break. I noticed, I think he did, or somebody from the club come out and said it doesn't seem as bad, or they don't think it's as bad as initially thought, Trent. So I'm hoping, obviously, as a Liverpool fan and a Trent owner, I'm hoping that that's a kind of couple of weeks over the international break, and then maybe he comes back.
Okay.
Maybe don't go out there for England duty. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that's the case, and he has a couple of weeks break. But there's that injury to talk about. There's the Saka injury potentially, so he goes off against Chelsea as well. So all of a sudden, a few little, as we always get, guys, around international break, don't we? Little inverted commas for the podcasters. I'm doing the thing with my fingers. Injuries, A few international break
but Trent,
injuries.
I mean, Trent did actually... You don't come off in 25 minutes not injured.
No, he certainly did look injured. And Connor,
and to be fair, so did Saka, to be fair.
Yes, although I kind of get so used to that Saka hobbling about that you just never really know whether he's fit or not fit. But anyway, we'll talk about all the games as usual, guys. Welcome to the live stream. We're going to talk about your wild card, a good wild card for you, I think. We'll talk about that in a bit. I've done all right as well. A couple of good transfers for me. So I think there's plenty of green arrows knocking around. And I think, get your scores in the chat. I think there's some decent scores knocking about this game week full stop.
Mine definitely feels like
within the FPL community, right?
What could have been, though?
What could have... Well, we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that in just a bit, because it was very, very good. But yes, it could have been even better. Could have been even better.
It could and should have been.
Yes, a couple of super chats. Sam, Ken's Bronze Grove. Thank you, Ken's, for the super chat. Evening, both. Hello, mate. Awful game week for me, mate. Keep your chin
sorry,
up. We've all had them,
Kens.
mate. We've all had them. Don't you worry
We've had a
about
lot
it.
of them already.
Had one return in Haaland, a Trent 1-pointer, and 0 for Lewis. Yeah, we've got to talk about Rico Lewis now, and City in general. City losing, Arsenal dropping points, and Slots Reds top. So, yes, Ken's, despite not having a great week in FPL, a good week to be a Liverpool fan, mate. A really good week to be a Liverpool fan. Top of the league by 5 points. We will take it, mate. We'll take it. Maliki, thank you for the super chat. He says, hi, Lee and Sam. Hey, Maliki. Hope you're both well. 63 this week. Very good indeed. With Cunha as captain, Sam. Very nice. That's ballsy. I like it. Very, very good indeed. And if you owned Cunha this week, you did all right. He got the double-digit haul. I did notice, just as I was coming on in the Fantasy Football Scout members area, he's third for XG overachievers this week. Overachievers. An XG of just 0.06. And he gets that double-digit haul because of the assist, which was very nice, that assist, by the way. And the goal was, if you haven't seen it yet, it's a banger.
It's nice.
It's a banger. Really, really good goal. And when it comes to eye tests, I know I'm sitting here talking about 0.06 XG, but let me tell you, he passed the eye test with flying colours yesterday. Mateus
I think
Cunha.
it was quite,
absolutely sensational.
it was quite a big game for Wolves from an FPL perspective, wasn't it? Yesterday, it felt like it was the moment where we knew whether we were doing the right thing by going for Wolves or not, because it was a bit punty. Because we were doing it because of the fixtures, right? More than because we were seeing a lot of form out of Wolves. Whereas, I think this week they started to show that we're on the right lines.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's do that game first, because Wolves are obviously a topic of conversation, no doubt about it. And you're right. I think if you bought Wolves players in and you've got your Cunhas and your Eight Norries gets the clean sheet this week, so that's good. So well done if you've got any of those
we thought
players.
It was going to go though, didn't we? As we were driving, where were we going? We were driving, and then Southampton scored and then had it ruled out.
Have you seen that incident?
Yeah,
I think they're very hard done by Southampton.
I do too.
And I also think on the Cunha goal, I think there's 2 fouls in the build up to that. So yes, on the face of it, we're sitting here without watching the game and no analysis, you'd go Wolves 2-0, Cunha double-digit haul, well done, we're all brilliant at FPL. But I'm telling you, that could have been very, very different, that game. And if that Southampton goal had stood, which I think it should have, then suddenly, as I said Saturday last Sunday, I said if Southampton score in that game, it's going to get nervy. The stadium are going to get nervy. And it did get nervy, because even at 1-0, after that Saints goal got ruled out, Saints then, they didn't sit back. They come back. They applied a bit of pressure. And the stadium was getting a bit nervy. I'm happy I've got the Cunha and I've got the Eight Nori this week. I'm happy with that. And I've got no plans to sell, because if you look at the fixtures coming up, they are top of the ticker right now, right? Fulham, Bournemouth, Everton, West Ham, Ipswich. It looks great, right? But them next two, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, I don't think it's that easy for Wolves. I don't think it's that easy. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I would be nailed on to start Eight Nuri in both of them. Honestly, wouldn't. What do you think about Wolves' assets? Do you think this is just a 2-0, now they're going to go on a great run and they're going to be out of trouble? Or were you a bit less convinced, like me, on that performance?
Gosh, that was I mean, I guess you're right in some ways, but then I don't know what we really expected. Like I'm not really sure if I was expecting to see Wolves be brilliant, because we haven't really, like I was saying at the beginning of this, we hadn't really seen that so far.
Yeah,
we hadn't really
seen.
So I don't think I was anticipating watching Wolves be suddenly like peak Barcelona or anything like that. But I was just expecting to see a bit more grit and a bit more fight and a bit more flair, actually, than we'd seen in the last few weeks, because they got flair players in that team.
Wolves?
Yeah.
Well, we're seeing flair.
But
I mean, the Cunha goal is flair.
We saw it this week, yes.
Right.
So that, in my mind, on wildcard, I was like, right, well, I'll go for a forward. I couldn't afford Cunha, so I had Strand-Larsen with the plan. And like João Pedro has put almost a spanner in the works. We'll talk about Brighton later.
It's well funny, wasn't it? Because that first Wolves goal goes in and we were out and about and the goal flash comes in and I'm like, come on, Cunha, first goal. And you're like, Strand-Larsen. I'm like, Cunha, Strand-Larsen. Sarabia. All right, cool.
Yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Because I needed a cheap third. And I went for Strand-Larsen. And I've been saying to you, hadn't I, about João Pedro, and I talked to Az about it. And so I was like, so when the Wolves game was going on and Strand-Larsen didn't do anything, wasn't involved in the goals this time around, I'm not panicking about that. Like, it's fine. Don't necessarily expect a 5.5 million forward to return every week.
Every week, no,
so
absolutely.
that's fine. I'm sort of cool with that. Well, I was until João Pedro in the slightly later game. But yeah, look, I think with Wolves, I think I will play Aït-Nouri most weeks because whilst the clean sheets might not always be there, the attacking threat certainly is always there from him.
You got to play him next week, Fulham away.
Who have Newcastle got next week?
Well, I don't know about that. Would you play him?
Well, it depends on Newcastle because he's rotating with Lewis Hall for me.
Okay, well, Newcastle have got West Ham at home, so you're playing Lewis Hall.
So I'll play Lewis Hall. But the Fulham game wouldn't put me off playing Aït-Nouri because Fulham defensively, I know that they did keep a clean sheet this week, but they are definitely scoreable against. So it wouldn't put it past Aït-Nouri to get something in that game.
I think they're good at home, Fulham. I think they keep Wolves out, no problem now.
Keep Wolves out, no problem.
I'm happy to have them. I've got the Cunha and Aït-Nouri points this week, but it's by no means it's a foregone conclusion that I play them every week. They're looking like a bottom of the table side, and I appreciate that. I think they might just have got off the bottom now with that win. Saints obviously still look targetable. Liverpool go to Saints next week. I'm going to say this now, and I will probably change my mind over the next couple of weeks. I'm considering triple captain in Mo next week. Because I think Southampton, the way that they played against Wolves at Molineux was, we've got to play out the back, got to play out from the back, got to play out from the back. And they just got caught time after time after time against Wolves.
I've got to check something.
Come on, what are you going to check?
I've got the feeling that Salah hasn't scored against Southampton.
Oh, I'm not worried about that. That's a historical thing.
I think his record's not great against them.
Okay,
I'm checking
no problem. But the way that Liverpool are playing and the press that we enacted against Aston Villa and we'll come to us in a bit, but just the maniacal focus from Southampton and the manager. What's the manager there? Russell Martin, isn't it? From Russell Martin to just, we must play this way.
It's nonsense.
We must play this way. And if they come unstuck against Wolves, they lost it time and time again. And this is against Wolves, who, with respect to Wolves, are an all-right pressing team, but they're just all-right. Whereas we are elite at it. And we will absolutely kill them if they do that against us. But they don't do it any other way. They won't do it any other way, and we will get them. Absolutely.
I remember that, because we went down there, didn't we, to watch them, Liverpool, years ago, play Southampton. And the reason I looked that up is because I remember that Mane's got an incredible record against Southampton. So, Salah's not scored there since 2019. I don't hate that as an option. Would you not rather triple captain Salah at home?
Maybe. But I just think that, so the way that we're playing and the way that, so all right, say Southampton come to Liverpool later on in the season. He's not there by then, the gaffer. And they'll have Sam Allardyce and they'll be parking the bus.
Oh, I see what you mean.
But it's just the way that they play Southampton. They're asking for trouble every single week. Every single week, honestly. So anyway, enough about this game. If you've got Wolves assets, you're holding because the fixtures look great. If you've got Aït-Nouri, you've got Cunha, whatever, Sarabia, Strand Larson, all good. And you got the points this week, largely if you're a Cunha owner. If you did captain Cunha, there was a captain Cunha in the chat. Well done. Fair play. Very, very good indeed. Missed a couple of super chats, Sam. One from Joseph. Hey, Joseph, how are you doing, mate? Hi, Sam and Lee. How are things with you both? We're doing all right, mate. Thank you. Doing all right. 89 points this week, by the way.
Very nice.
89 points this week. Very nice, Joseph.
I wonder who'd you I'll bet he captained someone decent.
Winks to Bruno worked out very nicely. Yes.
I love that as a transfer. How much money did you have in the bank?
I can imagine that did work out very nicely, Joseph. That is not bad at all, mate. Not bad at all.
The bank came up.
Winks to Bruno. There's a transfer of the week. Nigel the Crab, thank you for the member chat, mate. Appreciate it. Member for 32 months, Simon. Thank you, mate. Who's up for a random stat? Haaland has a shot conversion of 21, Pedro 33, Wood 35, and Visser 38. Why don't we talk about... That's a lovely stat. I like it. And Visser, in particular, he's clinical, isn't he? What a bonkers game, by the way, first and foremost. I don't know how you feel about Brentford games at the minute, but you don't know what to expect, in my opinion. B, they are entertaining as hell. C, Brentford, I don't think are ever going to keep a clean sheet while I've got Flecken. The minute I sell him, absolutely they'll keep a clean sheet. But it's almost because they know they can't keep clean sheets, they attack like mad, don't they? Yeah. It's almost like they know they've got to score one more than the opposition. It's a bit like, I'm trying to think of a team from the past, maybe a Liverpool team where it was like that. I don't know, a bit like the Suarez and Sturridge years. There's a random reference from a few years ago, where we defensively so bad And they were bad in this game.
It's a bit like Spurs now.
And I'm not saying that, but Bournemouth didn't play well because Bournemouth were very good. But like the Sepp van der Berg error for the Evan Nilsson goal, it's a big error. It's a big error.
It's funny though with Brentford, isn't it? Because so obviously for a lot of last week, as you guys will know, I had Wissa on my wildcard. And he was in my team quite a lot last week. And in the end, I didn't go with him. And there were two reasons why I didn't go with him. One, because I had Mbomo as well. And I just felt that I wanted to cover as many teams as was possible with good fixtures. Rather than players, necessarily. And also, the Thiago training comeback news just tampered my enthusiasm a little bit.
Okay.
Simply because whilst I don't expect that Wissa will suddenly not play, that's not what I expect, but he could be forced to play out wide, and if he was out wide because Thiago was in there kind of number 9, then that would have affected the goal conversion rate that Si was talking about and the opportunities that he is getting and all of that stuff. So it just reined in my enthusiasm for him a little bit, but I equally was still absolutely gutted this game because I was like, it's an annoyance, isn't it, when it's a player that you, a bit like you, right? On Friday night, what did you say to me? You were like, I'm going to make a transfer this week.
Well, I was always going to do Haaland out and Salah in.
But the other transfer that you were talking about doing.
Yeah, well, as Evan Nilsson was on the cards.
He was on the card. But actually, all three of the ones that you mentioned to me all returned this week.
Well,
so actually didn't matter really
it's
which one you'd have gone for.
They're all doing well.
But I do think that, when you're looking at forwards, it's quite hard right now. And I decided, my forward line was absolutely stinking this week. They all failed to return, which is a frustration when all the other ones that I looked at did return. But yeah, look, if you've got Wissa, great. He was great this week. If you are thinking about getting him, I still think he's a good buy. I do wonder whether the Brentford fixtures to attack are coming to an end though. Because the next couple are nice, but then they start to toughen up, and I wonder if at that point we might want to be moving off of them anyway.
Everton, Leicester.
Next two are great.
Away at Villa.
Then
a tired-looking, goal-conceding, European laggy Aston Villa. Don't think it's a terrible fixture. Newcastle at home. We know what Brentford are like at home. We know what Newcastle are like. That's got 4-3 written all over it. Chelsea away, okay, difficult. Forest at home, who knows? By 17 Forest might be well out of the picture by then, right? Maybe this is the start of their downward cycle. I don't know, but you'd have to pay me a lot of money to get rid of Mbomo in my team at the minute. And Wissa definitely is on radar. He was top for XG overachievers. I noticed Wissa this week, 2 goals off the back of an XG of 0.6. So if you want to spin a narrative that he was lucky, you can, but I'm not going to spin that narrative. I thought he was really, really good.
I'm not saying that I would get rid of Mbomo. I'm just saying that those fixtures, the next 2 nice, but after that, I'm not sure you'd want to be doubled up on the Brentford attack, because I think that there are other teams that have got good attacks that you'd want to invest in. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I saw a little bit of the highlights on Match of the Day because that's all we could do with this game in the UK. And I have to say, as impressed as I was with Wissa and Mbomo and all those guys, and we have to talk about those guys because this is an FPL podcast, I'm not suggesting you go out and buy Damsgaard in FPL, but oh my God, what a player they've got there. And he was very, very unlucky, wasn't he, last season with injuries. This season, he's come in and he's finding his feet now, and it's like a new signing for him. He is unbelievable. His body shape and stuff, like when he receives the ball side on, and he's so aware of what's going on around him. He's got that sort of Phil Foden thing with his head, where he kind of looks around. He reminds me of, and it's obviously with the Danish thing, right? He reminds me of like Christian Eriksen from 10 years ago.
Spurs Christian
And that's
Eriksen.
why you can see he's kind of heir to the throne a little bit in the Danish national team, because you can see the similarities between the game. He is a proper player, by the way. Damsgaard, proper player. I personally think Kepa's got to save that goal, right? Actually, the goal itself, nice shot by Damsgaard, but it's near post. Kepa's got to save it. He's got to save it. You can't get beaten there. But nevertheless, he deserved the goal because he was very, very good indeed, Damsgaard. He pulled all the strings, and I thought he was like the conductor in the Brentford attacking orchestra. And it is playing a very good tune at the minute, the Brentford attack. The defence, a little bit less so. But you're just scoring more goals than the opposition. So good. And Flecken.
What are we going to do about Flecken?
I don't know, Sam. It's like, I saw a stat about there's only 3 teams that have not kept a clean sheet since game week 4. And it was after the Arsenal game, because Arsenal are one of those teams, right? And then I think Ipswich were the other. And in my head I was thinking, Who's the other team? Yeah, Arsenal. Okay, because that's an old one. Ipswich. And then on the TV they went, oh, it's Brentford. I was like, oh, of course. Of course, bloody Flecken.
He's not kept one all season, has he?
Absolutely ridiculous, Flecken.
Oh, dear.
Bring him in for this run of fixtures and he can't... I mean, this one... Okay, Bournemouth got some players, haven't they? Like Semenyo, Evan Nilsson stuff.
This one wasn't as bad as last
Monday night. It
Monday
was the last week, wasn't it? The last Monday one was just the biggest kick in the balls I've ever had. Wilco, thank you for the super chat, mate. The app didn't work properly for me, so Salah ended up on the bench. Wilco, please.
Wilco,
please.
Stop.
Isak captain, Cunha, and Delap saved me. Okay, finally in the top million. Foden going next week.
Okay, but
Salah on
stop
the bench.
It. How does that, Wilco? That's had no one's happened to. What?
No,
you always you. Stop blaming your tools. A bad workman blames his tools, Wilco.
I love that. Any like new name in here. If that was a new person, we'd go, oh, that's a real I'm sorry to hear that. Or it's Wilco. We're just like, mate, get your act together.
Can't leave Salah on the bench. What are you doing, man?
Andrew Yee's in the chat. He's just like, Wilco, stop blaming the app. Here go the patrons having a go at each other. Classic. It must be Sunday night. Right?
Yeah, but we've started it. We've had a go at Wilco first. Now the others are having a go.
I don't think we've started that. Wilco, you're not blaming the app there, mate. I'm not letting you have that one. Sam, let's move to today. You were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today. What the bloody hell happened?
I don't know. I sat there. I honestly can't tell you what happened. We were all over them. Then they had an attack where we conceded exactly the same goal that we conceded last week and the week before and the week before
and the week
before. It's exactly the same goal. And honestly, Brennan Johnson is completely at fault. Oh, you probably haven't seen it yet. He's completely at fault. He stands there. All he's got to do is clear the ball and he just stands and looks at it. And it's about 2 foot from him. And then they score. And we were like, are you joking?
Phil B's in the chat. He said, did you not take Evie with you today, Sam?
Yeah,
she's a lucky charm.
I did take Evie with me today.
It was her first defeat, Phil.
It's her first defeat. 12 matches, first defeat. I wonder if it's because today I wasn't supposed to be taking her. So the ticket wasn't in her name. It was in Max's name.
Not meant to be.
Anyway, so they scored. We were then attacking again. We had one ruled off for a handball. I haven't seen it back yet. It didn't look like a handball from the stands, but then I am from the stands. It probably, it must have been because VAR said it was.
Have you watched any of the game on video yet?
No.
It's handball.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
And he also jogs away looking quite guilty. So he knows it.
He did look a bit sheepish as he went away, and I was like, okay, fair enough. Then there was another call for handball. I was fairly convinced it was a handball for a pen, but they didn't give it, so it can't have been. And then we just looked really off it. Son looks... I don't know why Son now... He's either not fully fit still, which is possible, but he will not take on a man. He rather than trying to go past them like he always used to do, he checks in. Yeah. And then you've got Timo Werner coming on.
Is it a confidence thing, or is that just an age thing? What is that?
I don't know. I don't know, Lee. I don't think it's confidence because he's been doing it all season. Like he suddenly, rather than going and attacking the man as he used to it does seem to be a managerial thing. So since Postecoglou's arrived, he doesn't do it. Like he used to go and attack the man, go past, and then send the ball. Whereas he's not doing that. He's checking in. And I wonder if it's a tactical thing. But then I can't work out, if it's tactical, why the bloody hell are we still doing it? Because it's not working.
Yeah.
And that side of the pitch was woeful today. Dreadful. Udogie played quite well. Solanke was good. A bit of all of them, I'd say he was the most...
Had a chance at the end and he saved.
Was the most unlucky, yeah. I'd captained him today. And honestly, within about 20 minutes, I was like, I don't think I've done the right thing here.
There's a couple of super chats in, Sam. I'm going to come to... I will come to them, guys. But I just want to go straight to this one from Matthew Knights. He says, 71 all out. So well played this week, Matthew. Very good indeed. He says, Vicario, a bit of a liability on corners again?
I don't think it was Vicario. I mean, Vicario... The corner comes in. It's originally dealt with. And then it sort of bobbles around. Brennan Johnson... Honestly, I think it's Bren. Bren's got to deal with that. It lands at his feet, virtually. All he's got to do is clear it, and he just dwells on the ball, just looks at it. I think I don't think it's Vicario's fault. Most of the set pieces I watch, I don't think it's Vic. I think a lot of the time it's to do... I mean, partly I suppose it's him directing the defenders. But I just think we need a decent set piece coach. We clearly... That is our big weakness.
He says you don't need one, though, Postecoglou.
What? I beg to differ, Ange, because you watch the games, and every single week it's the same problem.
So what's the sentiment towards Ange then? Because I sat here about 4 or 5 weeks ago and laid into him, and we almost fell out about it. I'm not going to do that now, but I feel from you and from other Tottenham things that I follow on social media, there is a little bit of come on Ange going on at the minute.
Not from me.
It's started.
No, there's not. I don't. I think we need a set piece coach. That's it.
Yeah, but he's the one not getting us. He's the one that says you don't need one.
Maybe, but I don't blame him. Like, I think they know what they're professional people. They should know what they're doing. Dragerson actually think has been all right. Like, I don't even think you can blame the fact that Mickey van der Ven's been out injured this time, because Dragerson's actually played quite well in his absence. He's not the same player, and it does slow things down, because what it tends to mean is that stuff goes through Romero more, and Romero is slower moving the ball out of defence than Van der Ven is, because Van der Ven will get it and he'll give it or he'll run with it. And when it goes with Romero, it's a little bit more side-to-side, slow build-up play, which is fine, but it's not the progressive attacking football that Ange wants to play. So it does affect the system. But genuinely, I think Dragerson's done an all right job. I think part of our issue is that in Europe on Thursday night, that was genuinely the worst Spurs performance I have watched in 10 years.
That's also 3 poor results in the Premier League in weeks where you've played European football as well. Is there a bit of a sort of European hangover fatigue thing going on as well?
Well, I think part of our problem is that in Europe we are rotating the squad, which is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And over the first, I don't know, was that game 5? Was that the 5th Europa League game or the 4th? I can't remember.
Don't know.
Whatever game it was, we've rotated the squad successfully in the others, and we've won all the other games. So that was the right thing to do. In this one, I looked at the squad and I was like, what the hell kind of team is this? It's a half-fit Son, Brennan Johnson, and then like Dragerson, Ben Davis and Fraser Forster, and it's kind of like, what the hell is all the like? And I do think that when we come, the part of the problem with rotating the squad that much is that I feel like we do lose a bit of momentum in those midweek weeks. I almost feel like we need to rotate less in Europe in order to keep the momentum building through the weekends. So I don't know. The Europa League weeks do seem to affect us more than they do other teams. Yeah. And maybe that's because we haven't been in Europe for a while. Maybe it's because we are rotating too much. Maybe it's, it was Turkey and back this week, which is, it's no excuse because everybody's had to do it. You've been Aston Villa away, all right, they were only in Belgium, but still, nonetheless, Man City
they're feeling it though, aren't they? Villa.
But they are feeling
They're feeling it. It's getting to that point of the season where if you're not used to that regular cycle of 2 games a week, it does get tough.
But also, we like last year, and I'm not making excuses for it because we're just playing. We're so hot, Jekyll and Hyde at the minute. Like
it's the consistency, isn't it? It's just not there.
Because one week we're brilliant, and then the next week I'm like, what the hell has happened?
He even said that Ange afterwards, didn't he? He said, I take responsibility for it for the inconsistency.
Yeah, well, I think he has to for the inconsistency. But I think when you look at when you think back to last season, we didn't have European football. We went out the League Cup in the 2nd round. We went out the FA Cup in the 3rd round. Now, right, we went out the FA Cup to Man City, so that's sort of fair enough. But this point in the season, we were just playing 1 game a week. We haven't been in the League Cup since like October, September, whenever the first round we played in, because it's playing round 2. Whereas this season, we've made it through in the League Cup, so we're still playing that, and we've got that game against Manchester United coming up in a few weeks' time. We've got European football, and I just think that the way that he is using the squad is the right thing, but I just feel like it disjoints us a little bit sometimes when we have that rotation. Okay. Like, we missed Maddison today. I don't know why I benched him again. We missed the creativity that he brings.
Well, if you've got Spurs assets in FPL, you probably can consider yourselves a tad unlucky, maybe. So Johnson was 2nd for XG underachievers this week, 2nd only to Mateta from Palace with an XG. Johnson's XG was 0.77 with nothing to show for it. And when I look down the stats on the members area in Fantasy Football Scout, and by the way, if you haven't got a Fantasy Football Scout membership yet, get in the links below after the stream and have a look, because I use it literally all the time. I use it all the time throughout the week, and whenever I'm here doing a live stream with you guys on a Sunday, I will always have the Fantasy Football Scout members area in front of me. It's like a little gold mine of what's happened this week. Have a look at that. I don't know if you can even see that on the iPad, but those of you that have got memberships at Fantasy Football Scout will know how good the members area is, and I use it all the time on these live streams. And like I say, with the Spurs assets, there's your quote about Johnson, 0.77 XG delta. But equally, Solanke joint third for shots, so this was not necessarily a game where he's doing his 0.0 XG again.
No,
he was involved.
He was involved.
Possibly could have had some points, and even Porro, chances created with 4 this game week. Again, joint third with Iwobi and Foden. So at least Porro's getting some points, right? So he got the assist. But from a Spurs perspective,
for ages though.
Let's bring it back to for FPL. So obviously it's the Man City game next. Which the way they're playing, it's going to be interesting, that one, isn't it? And then Fulham at home, Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home. For me, those are not fixtures that scream, invest more in Spurs. I don't think I'm going to be selling Brennan just yet. Although, the way that you played today did give me pause for thought, because I am going to want Palmer at some stage. Because it was very uncomfortable watching Chelsea today without Palmer. Mm-hmm. I know he got no FPL points, but bloody hell, every time I got the ball, I was like, I wish I had you in FPL. He's class, right? Even after like 4 or 5 minutes, he just belts one, and like Raya tips it over. I'm like, oh, here we go. So I want Palmer from 12, because as you guys can see, the Chelsea fixtures are absolutely unreal from 12.
Yeah.
I have now got the money in the bank because of the moves that I did this week, because I did Cunha rather than like an Isak or somebody expensive up front.
To go from Brennan.
And now I think it might be Brennan is the one that makes way for me in midfield.
Who are your other
for
mids?
Palmer? Well, I've got Saka and I've got Salah now. I've got Mbeumo and I've got Rodgers.
Oh, yeah.
So the one that stands out really, and that's why over the last couple of weeks I've been sitting here trying to make the case for Semenyo over Rodgers with you, but you've not been having it. And I've been trying to get that out of you because I want somebody to tell me you can sell Rodgers for Palmer. I want permission to do that. But I think Brennan now probably is the mate weight.
But Lee, that's very different. To go from Rodgers to Semenyo, fine.
No, Rodgers to Palmer.
I know that, but for the last few weeks you've been asking me, can I go Rodgers to Semenyo? And I've been like, well, yeah, if you like, but really why? Rodgers has got carry on. Rodgers to Palmer is a very different conversation.
But would you do Brennan to Palmer then? Would you do that? I've got the money to do it.
Well, if you've got the money to do Rodgers to Palmer, you've definitely got Brennan to Palmer. Would I do it? The problem with Spurs is that we are, like we've said already, we're Jekyll and Hyde. And if we're good, Brennan's involved. And if we're not good, then he gets nothing. But today was unlucky not to get anything. We actually weren't that bad today. We didn't play badly. We just didn't return. Like, we were just wasteful and we were slow.
Okay.
But... So would I sell Brennan for Palmer? Yes, because it's an upgrade. It's a massive upgrade, and Palmer has got better fixtures.
Definitely want to get Palmer after today. Definitely.
Would I prefer to do Rodgers than Brennan out? I don't know. I think I probably still would sell Brennan,
I don't know. Not with Villa's fixtures coming up, I wouldn't sell him. I think you're right. I think I agree. A couple of super chats. Thank you, George, for the super chat. George, you already give us patron stuff and loads of other stuff. You don't need to keep super chatting in here, but we appreciate you, mate, anyway. Evening, Bonfields. Hello, mate. Went mental this week. Took a -12, did you, George?
Yeah, he did. He went mad.
Bloody hell.
George went mad.
But he actually did get 75, so net 63, so not bad at all. Got a green arrow and in great shape for after the international break. Bruno and Salah coming in. Yeah, listen, if you've got Bruno in this week, you've had a touch. Absolutely brilliant. Bit jammy with the assists, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Gutted about Dallo coming off from the 57th minute. You are not the only one, George. You are not the only one. And Si, thank you for the super chat. I blame the app for that. No, can we all stop blaming the app?
Blaming the app.
Stop blaming the app.
What have you done, Si?
It's taking a -68 in game week 7 or whatever it was. We can't keep blaming the app, guys. There's lots of ways to play FPL outside of the app.
Si's taking the mick. He's saying he's taking a mick out of Wilco there. That's a cheeky dig at Wilco.
Oh, patrons.
Wilco, stop blaming your tools. Come on.
This is what it's like in the Slack. It's just they just do it a bit more often in there, don't they? Just having to go at each other the whole time. It's great.
Did you see that? I went in there because I obviously was aware that the Spurs game wasn't on the TV in the UK. So when Solanke went down after the Ipswich goal and just stayed down for about 5 minutes, and I was like, oh my god. Then Timo Werner stripped off to his just in his kit, and I was like, oh please, I can't lose my captain like this. Went in and told the Slack. They all went mental, and then I was like, guys, it's all right. I think he's going to play on it. And thankfully he did, but I felt I thought I had to share my pain with them. And the Slack was just a bit of a wash of people moaning about Dallo, Me stressing them out about Solanke.
A lot of United fans in there.
Yeah, it was
a lot of United fans. You mentioned Villa there and not selling their assets before what I think is a reasonable upcoming run of fixtures. And if we take a look at them before we dive into the Liverpool versus Villa game, you can see why. Palace at home next looks pretty good. Chelsea away, I think that's got a decent fixture written all over it. Brentford at home, and we know what Brentford are like when they're on the road, right? They are entertaining, let's say, is the phrase I used earlier. Southampton at home, Forest away. So 3, and I think this is the reason I kept both Rodgers and Watkins, despite what I thought was going to be a tricky trip to Liverpool this weekend, and it was 3 of the next 4 games all at home, looking pretty good for Villa. But again, lacking that intensity at Liverpool, Sam. You know, I kind of looked at it, and in the end, I thought it was a decent game. I thought Liverpool played well again, efficient. I think in terms of, you know, I'm running out of kind of words to describe Slot's Liverpool. It's very different to Klopp's Liverpool. Very
different. It's
good
though. I enjoy it.
It's good. It's you know, we've said it before. It's not the heavy metal Klopp style, but it's controlling the game. The first half was actually pretty open. And I think both managers in half time went, well, let's shut this down a little bit. I don't really like this. Because the next goal was obviously crucial. So there was a bit less kind of like running around like nutters at the beginning of the second half. Kelleher's got to keep us in the game in the first half. So, you know, don't by any stretch of the imagination think that this was a routine Liverpool 2-0 win. It wasn't. Kelleher did like a double save, one off of, I think, Diego Carlos, and then one off of maybe Watkins or maybe Onana, I think. There was a couple of headers from corners. And, you know, the Darwin goal, Villa just didn't learn, right? They just didn't learn. Our best chances came from their corners. So it was either they had a big chance that Kelleher saved, or we went and
you countered him.
Did a counter-attack. And Darwin, although he scored that goal, if he doesn't, I think it's probably a red card for Bailey on Mo, probably. Even though the bloody referee, and I'm not going to use the language here on a Sunday night with you guys that I used when I was watching that game with you about David Coote, but that guy, honestly, should not be a referee. He's just absolutely terrible. And in the replays, when Salah gets fouled by Bailey, he's giving it this. He's giving it the old arms across the body as if to say no foul. Not the arms up as in play on advantage. Just no foul. I'm like, are you mad, no foul? What's he talking about? But anyway, Núñez goes on and gets the goal. And then could have had another one in exactly the same circumstances, but fluffed his lines a few minutes later after that, which is kind of Núñez. I have some thoughts about Núñez. Do
you really want to share?
I will in a minute. Go on. I need to take a breath and have a bit of water. I've still got a croaky throat from like 4 weeks ago. What did you think of the game?
I have to say, it was actually lovely to watch a Liverpool game and not be scared.
Yeah, it's comforting having Mo, isn't it?
It was the first. It was really funny because it was the first time yesterday, where I watched Liverpool this season, apart from in the Champions League, obviously, and I genuinely enjoyed just watching Liverpool because I wasn't like, oh my god, Salah's got, oh my god,
here he goes, Mo's going off
which
again.
is basically how I felt every week so far. It's been horrific. So bringing him in and having him there just felt better, and he could have had more than he did. He probably should have had more than he did. I just think that he is one of those players that now he's in, that's it. He's going nowhere now.
He's so efficient with the football. He's so efficient. Like Mo
so good,
in previous seasons, you can't ever be negative about him. But because I watch him every week, then you can, and I've been watching him for so many years. You can be hypercritical. I think I'm in a reasonable position that if I want to be, I can be because I watch so much of him. And in previous seasons, okay, he'll get the ball and he'll do high-risk ball carries, right? He'll try and dribble. And if he beats his man, it's usually he's in, right? And he kind of lose the ball, or he might lose it, and then it's up to, somebody like in the past, it was Henderson to come over and cover, or it was Trent would have to kind of cover. And he would be a kind of high-risk player from that perspective. He tried the high-risk pass rather than just the sort of sensible pass. He's not really doing that so much this season, I don't think. He's so efficient with what he's doing that the underlying BPS system loves him, right? And we see this in previous seasons where if he got the goal and he'd maybe get like no or maybe 1 bonus point, and we'd all be sitting there as Salah owners going, well, that's a bit annoying, isn't it? If he got the brace, fair enough, 3 bonus points, but 1 goal and 1 bonus, you're like, what's going on there? This year, like every goal's worth 8 for Mo. Like every goal's worth 8. because he's just so efficient with what he's doing. He's not wasting any shots, and he's being, you know, in the case of the goal here at the weekend, yeah, pretty selfish, right? Pretty selfish. Now, there's an element of luck to the goal, no doubt about it, and there's a trend forming now over the last couple of weeks where fullbacks are being very, very, very disciplined against Mo Salah, but Liverpool are still winning the game. So at some stage, the manager has to make a change, and that disciplined fullback has to come on, and somebody that throws a bit more caution to the wind goes on, leaving space for Salah. And that's what happened here against Villa, because Dino had a really good game against him. Really good game against him. As did against Arsenal. Who would that have been? Left back. Don't know. Somebody had a really good game against him.
Cucurella?
No, against Arsenal. No, against Arsenal. When we played Arsenal last week.
Oh, you?
Yeah. We played Arsenal last week. Who was at left back? Can't remember. But somebody had a really good game against him. And then the young lad came on for Arsenal, Lewis Skelly, or whatever his name is. And Salah could just, like, he smelt blood. He was just like, right, immediately, I know that I'm going to get him behind here. Oh, it was Timber, wasn't it? Sorry, Timber at left back. And Timber was brilliant against him. And it was the same this week. Dino was brilliant against him until such point the manager's like, right, I've got to go for this. And he brings Maatsen on. And immediately you can see Maatsen, like, getting into more forward areas. Villa pressing a bit higher, a bit more energy. And I'm like, as soon as that was happening, I was like, Salah's going to get a goal here. And it comes in slightly fortuitous circumstances, because I think it's Diego Carlos, isn't it? Heads the ball. It heads it kind of at Salah. And I had a few of my mates on WhatsApp going, oh, lucky Salah. I'm like, he's not. He knows Carlos is going to head that, and he just makes sure he puts himself in the way of it. And it's brilliant positioning from Salah. And then when he goes through, I'm thinking he's just going to square it to one of the other lads. Nope, not having that. Just going to tuck it in the corner. He is... I totally agree with you. Having him in FPL now makes me happy. Makes me happy.
I don't think I'd realised how annoyed Liverpool had made me this season. And obviously we watch a lot of Liverpool in this house. And I think watching them had been really stressful, because every week it was like, oh God, what's Mo going to do now? How much is Mo going to kill me? And I appreciate that, you know, the same can be said for not having Haaland in my team. The same can be said for not having Palmer in your team, or whoever it is, because you have to make sacrifices. But Salah, he's a sacrifice I should have stopped making 5 weeks ago, because...
Yeah, but you couldn't, because 5 weeks ago, Haaland's banging in hat-tricks.
Well, it was coming to the end, but I think the problem is that...
All right, he had been banging in hat-tricks.
He had been. So I think the difficulty was that, you know, you were having to make these sort of tough decisions, or if you were going to have both of them, which is possible. You can build a team that's got both of them. But if you do that, you can't have a lot of the other players that we've all wanted, and there's a lot of dross, for want of a better word, that you have to have in the team. But there was something... It was just so much nicer. It was so much nicer game week. I genuinely think even if Salah had ended on just an assist in that game, I still would have felt like it was a better experience this week having him there.
Yeah. But I think I'd be surprised. Obviously, we've got 2 weeks now international break, but I'd be surprised if I don't captain him against Southampton.
He's not going away with Egypt, is he, either?
No. And like I said, I've got, you know... At the moment, I'm probably 50-50 about thinking about triple captaining next week.
Fair enough.
Because I just think the way that we press, I think... I would like Jota to be back. If Jota's going to be back for that game, then we've got our pressing monster back.
We haven't got word on that yet, have we?
We haven't got word on that yet.
No.
Well, I think Slot came out and said that he'll be back shortly after the international break. So he didn't come out and say he's available for Southampton. But I'm hoping that shortly after international break means that he's back. And if he is, I think that's even better for Salah. Nunez, and I saw a few of you guys saying in the chat about Nunez. I don't agree, guys. I don't agree. I think he was a little bit back to... Because you guys were all saying all aboard the Nunez train. And from an FPL perspective, he gets the goal and does the baby celebration. And I get it. We're all the non-Liverpool fans that maybe haven't watched the game. I don't know whether you did, guys, or not. But you might be looking at it going, oh, yeah, we'll get Darwin then. I thought he was a little bit back to the old Darwin. He was a little bit shoot on sight. He was a second for shots overall this game week. It was Haaland first with 7. Then it was Nunez with 6. How many good shots did Nunez really have?
There was that one moment, wasn't there, where he was through on goal, and we both went, yeah, but it's Darwin. And then he like skied it over the bar or something.
Well, that was the big miss from the break,
went,
wasn't it?
There you go, Darwin. And that's the thing with Darwin, is that, he'll have these moments in games where he looks really good and you think, okay, I can go there. But in reality, I think he is... If you bring him in FPL, be prepared to be trolled.
He didn't do the pressing. He didn't do the work again that he has been doing in the last few weeks.
And as soon as Jota's back, I don't think he starts.
I don't know. I'll say what I always say. I really, really want him to work out for Liverpool, but I just don't think that he will. I think
he would have worked out already if he was going to work out.
Kens, thank you for the second super chat, mate. You don't have to keep super chatting, mate, but it's kind of you. 1 to 2 weeks after international break slot said for Jota. So yeah, I think he said a week or so shortly after. I'd be surprised if he's back for Southampton. I really would, particularly as. With respect to Southampton,
would you
it's
even
Southampton.
Risk him? You wouldn't risk him, would you?
Well, no, probably
Might
not.
give him some minutes at the end if he's available.
And from an Aston Villa perspective then, given the fixtures, those 3 home ones, I don't think we're panicking, are we?
No, I've kept Rodgers.
What would you do if you had Watkins, he says, as a Watkins owner?
Okay, well, so, and again, I feel like this comment is maybe less about Watkins and more about everything else, but I think genuinely, most people, I know that you were just saying you've got the money in the bank for Palmer.
Yeah.
But for a lot of managers out there that don't have the money in the bank to get to Palmer...
He's a route though, isn't he?
I would far rather have Palmer than Watkins. And so if you're looking for a way to get Cole Palmer into your team, or you're looking for a way to get Mo Salah, or you're looking for whatever it is, whoever it is... I don't think Ollie Watkins is a priority own. I look at the front line and I appreciate that, he maybe could have got something in this game and there was a couple of good saves from Kelleher from him. But I don't think he is anywhere near essential in FPL. Anywhere near. And I think...
Even if you just need a little bit of money, you go to Isak. I think it's a great
you go
move.
to Isak. There's loads of options that you could go to in that forward line, and I think for me Watkins is just a difficult own because of his price point. If he came in at 8 or 7.5, if it was around the Solanke price point, I'd be going, just hold him. But I think he is going to be he and Trent will be a lot of people's cash cows for releasing the funds that they're going to need for Palmer.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's go back to a super chat from Ian Smith. Thank you, Ian, for the super chat. Celebrating a Steelers win. I don't know anything about NFL, mate, but fair play if you loving the Steelers and they've won. Good luck to you. Are we sleeping on United? He says. Are we sleeping on United? I'm going to tell you somebody who's not sleeping on Manchester United, and that is you, Sam, from FPL Family, with your wildcard. One of the things that you sat here last week when you were talking about draft from one of your wildcard, and I said this at the beginning of the stream, was you liked playing it. One of the reasons you like playing it in game week 11 rather than a lot of people will be thinking about it this week that have still got it. You said because there's 3 fixtures coming up for United and they're going to be a bit of new manager bounce, and I've just seen enough in other competitions and a little bit of the rude factor. I'm going to go and have a little punt on Dalot and Bruno Fernandes. Now, the Dalot one is deeply unlucky. You can't say anything else, and that's just really unlucky. But the Bruno one is absolutely inspired. A 17-pointer for Bruno. And I did suggest early on that he was a bit lucky, maybe, Bruno. Now, not taking away here comes the Liverpool bias. The goal is fantastic, right?
The first goal.
The goal is brilliant, right? I'm not saying anything about the goal. The second goal is lucky. He's lucky to get an assist for that. He's in the right area, I understand it, but it comes off here. It sort of hits his thigh.
Originally, it went down as his goal.
It's nothing like his goal. It sort of hits his... He misses the header, hits his thigh, comes off the defender's bum and goes in, right? So it's lucky. And the third one is just a pass to Garnacho. And the Garnacho goal, if you've not seen it, is just world class from Garnacho. Right. So anyway, but having said that, I'm not about to spin a narrative that he was lucky, Bruno Fernandes, because he was top for chances created with 6. And he was right up there for midfielders with 59 underlying BPS this week. So, listen, the assists might have come in slightly fortuitous circumstances, but he could have had even more in that game. He was on fire. Tell me about your decision-making process to put Bruno in your wildcard team. And now tell me what you're going to do for the next 2, because the next 2 look good for Bruno on the fixtures. And I'm going to remind myself what they are. They are Ipswich, of course, away, and then Everton at home.
I think,
and I think you were looking at it as maybe just a stopgap for a Palmer Saka, wasn't it? But you got to keep him now, haven't you?
So one of the reasons I wanted to wait till as late as possible to make a decision on Palmer Saka was because obviously the Palmer flag, and then Maresca said something weird about if Palmer can eat his dinner, he can play at the weekend. I was like, all right, thanks, Maresca. Well, I guess that means he's fit then. So I kept Palmer because I knew I wanted Chelsea from next week.
Yes.
Whereas with Arsenal, now I haven't watched the Forest Newcastle game yet, but with Arsenal in my head, I was like, well, maybe I can afford to wait 2 weeks for Saka because
maybe longer now if he's got an injury.
Well, maybe longer now because it's Forest. And Forest haven't been a pushover. I mean, until today, they have not been a pushover defensively. So I was like, well, maybe I've got a week where, I've got 2 weeks. I can get Leicester and Ipswich. And if I can get Leicester and Ipswich out of Bruno. But then the conversation comes back around. So for me, Bruno was a kind of a 3-weeker. It was definitely for the next 3 weeks. 3-week punt. Let's see if we can find a way to have him for the next 3. Maybe I can play a bit of hokey-cokey around with the rest of my team. If Bruno continues to play as he played today and as he's played the last couple of weeks under Ruud van Nistelrooy, where he's been back to this talismanic approach to his game, he's going to be a hold for a long time. And I kind of feel like I'm ahead of the game now with him because a lot of managers like you will be looking at, how do I get Palmer?
Yeah.
And now they're going to be adding, and do I have to get Bruno? And what do I do about this one and that one and the other one? Whereas Bruno feels like, okay, I've done that now. I've got him banked, held. And he will stay for the next week, obviously, after what happened today.
I think it's a great shout what you've done with the especially with the wild card. And if you did bring Bruno in this week, guys, fair play. We are in the...
It's peak time for it.
Yeah. We've seen it for years. It's gone on for years and years and years, this with Manchester United, and this is going to be a bit shock, horror, a bit anti-Man United, right? But since Ferguson left, you go through this managerial cycle, right? And the managerial cycle at Manchester, the Manchester United manager merry-go-round goes like this. They sack, all the players stop playing, and a manager gets sacked. Ten-Hag gets sacked. The new manager comes in, and all the players start playing again. And they all do great. Whether it's a caretaker or a new one, they all do great. Until they've had enough of that manager, and then they're back to being crap again. And then they'll get that manager sacked. Now, I think they've got an absolute... I don't know too much about him, but from what I've seen, I think they've got an absolute gem in Ruben Amorim. I think he is a top manager. And if you look at what he's done with Sporting Lisbon and where they were when he inherited them, they were nowhere. They were fighting with each other behind the scenes, weren't they, in Sporting Lisbon, and right at the bottom. And he's taken them up. He's won them the first league in however many years. They're giving him the bumps as he's leaving. They're all really sad that he's going. He didn't want to go. He wanted to wait until the end of the season. All of that, right? He's got a connection with the fans. He's got all that about him, right? So he obviously knows how to foster a growth mindset, high performance culture. He knows how to do it.
Yep.
It's the ultimate test for him going to Manchester United.
Yeah.
Because they have got a culture where they are...
No one's been able to do that at Man United since Ferguson.
They've been through tons of great managers that have not been able to do it.
Yeah.
So can this guy, who I think is one of the top managers in the world, I think he's a gem, honestly do. And when we were linked with him in the summer and we didn't get him, I was a bit miffed about that. Not anymore. Slot's great. But at the time, I was like, I wish we'd have Amorim. So back to FPL. Sorry, that was a ramble. But now that he's come in, they will do great now, Man United, for a while. And then they'll be crap again in a while. But so what you've done is you've gone, I'm going to play the wild card and I'm going to bet on this managerial merry-go-round that we've seen years and years and years in Manchester United and bet that there's an upturn in form. Here we are, upturn in form. Bruno Fernandes, 17 points. I think it's absolutely brilliant what you've done.
Yeah. I mean, I the Bruno thing has worked out really well, as I hoped, pretty much. That's gone how I hoped. The Dallo one is... I can't
It's just
tell...
unlucky. It's just unlucky.
But I can't tell you how much that has upset me this week.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, Trent owners will feel you.
But exactly the same thing, right? So I think when it happened, Trent's sickening because it's just like, great, 25th minute in a game that they go on to keep a clean sheet where you potentially gets an attacking return as well because of the way that Aston Villa are letting you in, all of that good stuff. Like, that's annoying. Getting substituted in the 50 something minute is honestly the thing that upsets me the most.
Not for an injury either.
Yeah. Just like, if you get injured and you have to go off, then it's like, okay, well, that's just damn unlucky. But we are where we are. The 57th minute, 58th minute, 59th minute subs, for no reason, no injury, just a bit of a change. Let's just put Johnny Evans on. Oh.
Yeah. Nice. I get it.
But.
Let's focus on the positive. Bruno was fantastic for you. 17
Bruno
points.
was great. Dalot, I mean, I was on the right lines with him. They kept a clean sheet. Still think it was the right thing to do. I still think under the new manager, it will be him that's the regular starter in that position. So I still think it was the right thing. It's just a bit of a kick in the teeth this week.
Yeah, all right. There's a couple in the chat. So Maliki saying, yeah, understandably, but is it just that Leicester are rubbish? And Wilco's saying, where's Wilco's? Yeah, is it an upturn in form or is it just Leicester? I get it, guys. I get it, right? But then the next two are not exactly against formidable opponents for Manchester United,
Ipswich,
right?
no, league beaters.
Ipswich and Everton at home. And Shax makes a good comment as well. You know, if it can click between Bruno and Amorim, and let's face it, maybe there's a Portuguese thing there that means that they do. You know, it means that they do. Then maybe that is the captain and manager can be once again in harmony at Manchester United. Definitely on radar for me. Definitely on radar.
No, I'm not got anyone else on the radar, but I'm glad to be invested.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to... I need to click back here. Any other games that we want to discuss? Let's do Chelsea 1, Arsenal 1, and let's rattle through the rest of these games, Sam. More points drop for Arsenal? Are they in big trouble now, or is that, listen, 9 points behind us, I'm just saying. And we've been to Arsenal already.
Lee.
What?
You're going to win the league.
We're not going to win the league. Behave yourself. But it's looking a little bit bleaker for Arsenal.
This is going to be a trophy celebration that you can watch.
Yeah, I might actually get involved in. Last time we lifted a Premier League trophy, it was COVID, wasn't it?
Had a little bus.
Why are you stroking my arm?
Because look how excited you'll be. It'd be a little bus tour. You go up to Liverpool for the day, watch it.
That sounds really patronising. Can you tell me what you thought of Chelsea versus Arsenal?
I think that is what I thought. I don't think...
Are you just really happy that Arsenal are floundering?
Look, we've lost. The fact they're floundering too is great.
Maliki saying you're loving the Arsenal downfall, really. Look at you. Look at you.
Yeah, I am. I benched Raya this week.
I know you bloody did, yeah. In favour of who? Tell everybody who you actually played this week.
Fabianski! Yes, Fabianski! Tell everyone what you did to me when we were out shopping.
Oh, it's classic. Absolutely classic. We're walking around TK Maxx. It's 0-0 in that game with about, minutes to go.
It was like the 90th minute.
90th minute. And you're just standing in front of me and I just went, oh, Beto scored.
I could have punched him in the face.
I thought you were going to punch me in the face. You turned around and you were like... It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I immediately realised my mistake and I went, I'm joking.
I didn't find it funny. He had to leave me. I was like, go away from me.
I walked off. It was hilarious.
Because he kept doing it as we were walking around the shops. He kept going, oh, that Fabianski clean sheet's going to stick, isn't it? And I was like, stop it. Don't jinx it.
I tried so hard to jinx that Fabianski clean sheet. I couldn't believe it. Because he was on for bonus as well. It was just crap versus crap. Right, here's my analysis of West Ham versus Everton. They were both crap. Pickford pulls out what could only be described as the best save of the season right at the end. End of analysis. Right, back to Chelsea versus Arsenal. 1-1. Oh,
yeah, that's how I got there, wasn't it? Because I'd benched Raya in favour of Fabianski, the legend. You got bonus point. Fabulous. Thank you very much.
Sorry for
and I didn't have Saka either because I'd gone with Bruno Fernandes instead. So I just had Cole Palmer in this one. And Evie and I were on our way back from Spurs and we were listening to this on the radio and I must admit I was like, how has Palmer not got something? But I haven't really watched much of this game because by the time we got back then I had to build a Lego Stitch. So I didn't get to watch much of this game. This is my life. I didn't get to watch much of this one, so I might hand it back to you. But for me, it seemed like when I was listening to it on the radio that Palmer was unlucky not to get something.
Yeah. There was, like I say, one in the first few minutes where we absolutely belted it and it was a good save by Raya. A couple of free kicks in the first half, which were a bit disappointing, actually, I would suggest. Tell me what you think, Palmer owners. But the first one in particular, if he could have picked it up and put it anywhere, I think he'd have put it there. And then it kind of went into the wall or it wasn't a particularly good free kick. he did look a little bit like, there was a bit in the week about he hadn't been in training or something, hadn't there? And he didn't look like he's
leggy.
fully, wasn't 100% Cole Palmer. But let me tell you, even an 80% Cole Palmer is in that team.
Yeah.
And I was still worried about not having him in FPL. Yeah. Absolutely. So, listen, the fact he's got nothing in this game against, it's an elite defence, Arsenal. It still is, despite no clean sheet since game week 4. I still think it's an elite defence.
Well, I do too, yeah.
And Chelsea did well to dig a point out of it. I thought Neto was really erratic, really all over the place, and kept losing possession and was rubbish, and then pulled out an absolute worldie strike. I don't know how he's done it. Do you know what I love about Neto?
What?
I love that he does about 7 celebrations in one. It's his first goal for Chelsea, and he was just like, I don't know, so he's running away doing this with his arm up,
yeah,
and then he's kind of just like sort of blowing kisses to the crowd. Then he's doing this with his hands in his ear. I'm just like, what actually is your celebration, mate?
Maybe he doesn't have one yet.
Or do you just want to do like all of them and just see what sticks? Like when Cole scores, he does the bit of the Cole Palmer with the arm rub and that's it, innit? Whereas Neto went through the whole repertoire.
Did he?
He did basically every celebration. Go back and have a look at his goal. He did every celebration you can do.
Maybe it was in case you don't get another one.
It may be.
He just thought, do every celebration that I need to do, and just in case there's never another goal.
Get them all out there. I don't know, but I didn't think he played particularly well. But then he scores a great goal.
He's got a goal.
It was a cagey kind of game. You could. So the Arsenal goal is.
It was more that neither side really wanted to lose it.
I think Arsenal will be disappointed having been 1-0 up to not go on and win the game.
That's the sort of game that I don't mean this in an offensive way, Arsenal fans, but last season's Arsenal would have gone 1-0 up and they'd have found a way for that to stick.
Yeah. And the Martinelli goal, it comes from a really nice bit of creativity and a really nice assist from the person they've been missing, right? From Ødegaard. I don't know, and I think Arteta said this after the game, I can't think of too many players in the whole league, maybe in the world, that can have 6 weeks out or whatever and come back in and do 90 minutes like that. No. He was great. He's come back in and he's done amazing. So the Martinelli goal, I know I don't like being super critical of the goalkeeper, but every week I think he can do better, Sanchez. I think if Chelsea, and I know they've been out and got 300 goalkeepers and they've spent a lot of money, but I can't believe he still gets a game that way. I honestly can't.
I'm surprised because they've got this, what's he called, Jurgensen, the new guy?
They've got loads of players. Well, surely one of them's good.
Well, they went and signed this new one in the summer who was like a lot of money. And we were all expecting him to start by now. Yeah, we all thought Robert Sanchez would start the season, but the new one would take over, but he hasn't. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they lacked a little bit more when Lavia went off. I rate him. I rate him a lot. I think he's really, really good. But anyway, not much else to say about this game other than if you turn to the fixtures, Arsenal were right up there, right? So game week 12 for sure was the game week where a lot of people were earmarking the wild card because you go back a couple of weeks ago, it's all Haaland this, Salah that. Well, from game week 12, it's going to be, I think, Saka this, Palmer that. And there's going to be a lot now looking at Cole Palmer, me included, for, Leicester coming up, Southampton coming up. Also Spurs, I hate to say it, but, that's going to be, the way Spurs are defending. Brentford, who can't keep a clean sheet. It's Everton. The Chelsea fixtures look so good. So if you haven't got Cole Palmer already in place, my advice would be think about doing it. I certainly am. And also from an Arsenal perspective, Forest at home next, West Ham, Man United. I think with Ødegaard back now, I think they could potentially go on a bit of a run. And I think, Saka was all right today, but Cucurella did a really good job against him. Cucurella played very, very well. He was my man of the match. He was my man of the match, I thought, Cucurella. I think Sky gave him player of the match as well. And I think that was the right thing because he did a really good job against Saka. Obviously, now we've got to keep an eye on what happens with maybe an injury for Saka. So he's gone off with a bit of a knock.
Yeah.
Let's see what that looks like. But for me, I've got Saka and no Palmer. And I am absolutely looking at a route from Johnson to Palmer. You've got no Saka?
I've got no Saka.
Thoughts? No Arsenal attack, right?
No Arsenal attack. Got Raya. I'm not doing anything about Saka because I got Bruno.
Yeah, fair play.
I have got money. I have actually got enough money in the bank to go from Mbomo to Saka. So when I was building my wildcard,
this selling Brian though.
No. So when I was building my wildcard, I was trying to build as much flexibility as possible. So I was like, if I get to a point where I really want to keep Bruno, can I make it work? Yes, I can. If I do Strand Larson and this one and that one. because that, and Lewis Hall, because that gives me enough that Mbomo could eventually be Saka. So then I could have a midfield that has Bruno, Saka, Salah, Palmer.
Which is what we're all trying to get to.
Which is what we're trying to get. So and I've still got Vardiol, who would happily sell down as well, potentially as well. So yeah, no Saka for 12.
No? All right. Well,
got to hope for a sales clean sheet.
Absolutely. All right. Well, a couple more games to discuss, Sam, including the Seagulls beating Manchester City.
Whoop, whoop.
Before we do that, though, a quick shout out to our friends at Sleeper Footy. You guys that have been with us for up to now this season, over the last 11 game weeks, you'll know that we are sponsored and supported this year by the guys at Sleeper Footy over on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. Loads of good stuff on their app. Go and download the app. Loads of great PickEm competitions where if you get into, there's a link in the description below to our PickEm League where you don't, it's all free. You can download it completely for free. You go and select the scores, which team you think is going to win or a draw. And if you get the most right in any given game week, you can win £100 worth of vouchers or $100 worth of vouchers. Very easy. Simple. They've also got a really nice draft game. They've got a UCL Champions League game as well. So loads going on in the Sleeper app. And we had that comment before about the Steelers, didn't we? If you like your NFL, you are going to love a bit of the Sleeper app as well. It's not just Premier League. The Premier League thing is something new actually for them this season. What they've done for years and years and years is American sports. So if you're into your NFL, you're into your NBA, all that sort of good stuff, they do that. That's their bread and butter.
Bells and whistles.
They love all that. So get on that if you're into your American sports, particularly with Super Bowl and all that sort of stuff coming up. And we have to say, Sam, we have an outright winner in Sleeper Pick'em this week. No Monday night game, so we can announce that Teletubbies... like that name. Teletubbies is this week's winner with 8. How did you get on this week? I got 4, very average. 5. Well done. 4, very average for me. I started off the season so well in Pick'em, but I've gone downhill very quickly.
Yeah, I noticed you and Wilco. Well, Wilco's probably blamed the app as well, but he's fallen apart as well.
Wilco just got all the apps. He's just blaming them all. Me and Wilco properly in the mud after a very good season. I thought you two were going to
win our hospitality tickets,
I thought it was going to happen. Week 3 or 4, me and him were top of the league.
I thought it was nailed on that you two were going off to hospitality at Anfield together.
Yeah.
I thought, this is nailed on. Them two were going to be on like some little weird Wilco and Lee date to watch Liverpool. Now you're both terrible at it.
Mackie D's and Milton Keynes now, at best. But congratulations to Teletubbies. We will be getting in touch with you on direct message on the Sleeper app, via the Sleeper app, and we will send you a code for $100. Just like that, guys. That's it. That's all that Teletubbies did.
Just picked
He just downloaded the app, picked some results, got 8 of them right, $100.
Perfect.
Easy. Hasn't had to put any money down. He's not had to invest in any crypto. He's not had to download any ads.
And now he's closer to 2 hospitality tickets to a match of his choice as well, because that's what the overall winner of our Pick'em League is going to receive at the end of this season.
Absolutely. And I do have to give a bit of a shout out to George Day, because he came second with 7 this week.
Oh, well done, George.
Sorry, mate. One more result right,
mate.
He
probably betted on Spurs. Not bet, because it's not really a bet, but he probably said Spurs will win, and we probably let him down as well.
Yeah, so George, unlucky next time, mate. Next time. But yeah, Teletubbies, the winner of that $100 Sleeper Pick'em prize for this week. So well done. Didn't even need the wheel this week, Sam. I missed the wheel.
We haven't had to have the wheel for a while.
We haven't had to have the wheel for a while. I miss it. Let's go back to these fixtures. Couple more to do, Sam. Just a couple more to do. Here we go.
Which ones we got left? I feel like we talked about everybody.
I think we've done them all. West Ham 0, Everton 0. We've done that's literally me done. Brighton 2, Manchester City 1. Probably this penultimate game. João Pedro comes on to make all the difference. All the difference with a goal and assist. It was looking all right for Man City. Haaland gets the goal. I think all of us Haaland sellers were sitting there going, "Here we go. Here we go. Here comes the Haaland haul." But not to be. Brighton hung in there. And actually, unusually for Manchester City, once João Pedro got the goal, in previous seasons, the Man City that we know and love would have gone, "Oh, all right, let's just up it a gear and we'll win this 2-1. But they looked a bit shaky. They looked nervous. And Brighton, I think, sort of smelt a bit of blood there and went in and got the win. And this O'Reilly fella that I know very little about gets the goal, but still, it was João Pedro that made the difference.
Az was very excited to have O'Reilly back.
Right, okay, interesting.
So
what's the lowdown on him then?
So Az and I came off the Q&A together on Thursday, and I said, Az, I need a chat.
Right.
And he went,
this was offline. This was in the.
This was just we just in the post-match interview. We were just having a chat, and I said, I need some advice, and he went, go on. And I said, look, I'm not doing Brighton yet. because I'm looking at 13. Game week 13 is when I'm really looking for Brighton. So obviously I got a couple of weeks where I can watch them. I can watch them in 11 against Man City, and I can watch them next week in 12. But I want to know your thoughts on the Brighton attackers. And we had a long conversation about them, and in the end, he wasn't very helpful. He
went, about Brighton? You disappointed?
He sort of went, well, this one and that one and the other one. And I said, look, all I really want to know from you is, do you expect João Pedro to be back getting starts? And he said, well, if he comes off the bench and starts doing stuff, he will get back in the starting 11 because that's what he does.
Yeah.
And then immediately he comes back into the starting 11 and does
the business, yeah.
So I'm watching him very close because now he's 5.4.
Cheap, isn't he?
So,
very cheap.
So he
probably
is,
still on pens?
I would expect so. If he's on the pitch, he'll take the pens. And so actually, when you're looking for a cheap third forward, like I've got Strand Larson at the minute, but João Pedro's fixtures, arguably from 13, I think it's 13, are nicer than Wolves'.
Well, let's have a look at them. Bournemouth away next. You're right. That game, I hear you. So from 13, it's Southampton at home, which looks great. That Bournemouth game is interesting, though, isn't it? Because both teams are very intense. They like to play high lines. I can see goals in that game.
Yeah, but would you expect João Pedro to be back in the starting 11 then? I wouldn't be surprised if he eases him a little bit because it's been a long time recovery. So I wouldn't be surprised him off the bench again in the next one.
Yeah.
But if he gets another return,
look great, you're right.
But the fixtures then look great from 13. So, I mean, ideally you'd have ideally I want to maybe look at offloading Solanke at some point because he's 7.5. But or even Chris Wood if I genuinely have broken him. Then maybe I'm looking at a Welbeck for one of those two. But at the Strand Larson price point, I'm definitely looking at João Pedro. So on the radar for sure, Brighton.
4th for amongst forwards for underlying BPS this week, João Pedro.
Yeah, he was only on for like 20 minutes or something, wasn't he?
I was just about to say. And also in the top 10 for BPS earners with 38. And yeah, would only come on and played a fraction of the game, Sam. So yeah, that was the point. He's completely stole my thunder there, but yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry.
So when I started reading it out and then you finished the sentence, I was like, where am I going to go with this now? I was just like, I can't finish the sentence. So
you love me, don't you?
Yes, I do. João Pedro, O'Reilly, all looking good. What about City then? What's happened? What's going on? 4 defeats back to back for Pep Guardiola. Never happens.
It's got us next. Guaranteed win.
Dr. Spurs. We'll be back. What's going on?
I don't know, honestly. Because what you said originally was exactly right. Because in the past, they would have done this.
Yeah.
They would have gone 1-0 up. Brighton will have scored because they're not really that great defensively. We know that. But they absolutely would have gone on and won the game. Now, Vardy tries. He has a really good opportunity right at the end of that game, which he probably should have returned. And I was like, you're joking me.
The back line, I have to say, when I saw the lineup...
We did say it was weird.
And it was what? Vardy, Walker, the lad,
what's he called?
The lad that whose name I can't, Simpson Poussey, isn't it? And then Rico. I'm like, that's a defence they can get at.
Yeah,
that's a defence they can get at. And you guys in the chat are just saying no, Rodri's the problem. I 100% agree, but it can't be the only thing, is it? I mean, when the Ballon d'Or winner goes out the team, it does make a difference. I appreciate it.
They did lose Rodri before, and it did have an impact. But I think this one is worse because it's coincided with lack of form and lack of consistency from everybody else. So had Rodri gone out at a time where KDB was fully fit and firing, Foden was fully fit and firing, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan.
But also the boys at the back, the
boys at the back,
the Diaz's, these players,
all of those
key players.
So had all of these players, had they had the rest of them fully fit and firing, then Rodri gets injured, I think they probably could have still coped, particularly in games like this one where they take the lead. I think they would still get through it. I think the issue is that they haven't got that. They haven't got a full strength back line. I mean, it was weird. It was a cobbled together back four at the best of times where it's like just bizarre. The midfield isn't where it should be. Phil Foden, I appreciate he was creative in this one, but it's not really leading anywhere. De Bruyne comes on for a bit, but he's been out and injured. There's a lack of. They have got injuries.
So who have you got in your team?
Just Vardy.
And how do you feel about that?
fine because, I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't really keep him for clean sheets. I kept him because he's got 2 goals in the last 3 weeks. And he really did nearly get another goal in this one. Like, right at the end, he very nearly equalises. I'm fine holding him for now. Like, I think against that Spurs defence, he could easily get an attacking return against our defenders.
And Rico, how would you, if you were a Rico owner? You've never been a fan.
I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan. I just don't understand the Rico love. The only reason I think people like him is because he's cheap. But I also think that at the moment, there are better cheap options in the game. And at a time where, because realistically, Rico Lewis is your 4th defender.
Yeah, I got Greaves as well as my 5th, so yeah.
Yeah.
Well, him and Aït-Nouri, but yeah.
So, but with the fixtures the way that they are for Aït-Nouri, you're going to play him most weeks
Well,
because
I've
of his
just said
attacking
I'm not,
threat.
probably for the next couple.
Okay, but in my 5th midfielder slot, I've got Sepp van der Berg now, but in my 4th, I downgraded Robinson, who's cheaper than Rico Lewis, and went for Lewis Hall on the basis that the money is more useful than that extra little bit. And I maintain that I still don't think Rico Lewis is worth it. He's not getting attacking numbers. He's not keeping clean sheets. He's sometimes getting rested when Pep's available to give him a rest. I just don't think he's worth. I don't think he's worth it.
The thing that strikes me with him, because obviously as an owner, I maybe watch him a bit closer than maybe you do, and maybe the non-owners. I feel like he gets forward. I feel like he's inverting. I feel like his heat maps are great. I just feel like he's like there though. I don't feel like he's like
fully involved.
Yeah, I feel like he's part of the attack, but
not integral.
And there was a few weeks ago where he got an assist, didn't he, by just knock it to Haaland, then Haaland belts it top corner. And, you know, it was Rico Lewis owners were all like, yep, good assist, we'll take that. But even then, it was, you know, great finish by Haaland. And I feel like he's inverting and he's being part of it, but not getting properly involved. That's a really non-analytical, real eye test statement from me there that I've got nothing to back up with, except that I just keep watching him closely because I own him. And I feel like, yeah, here comes Rico, part of the attack. Right, great. Get involved, mate. You know, get on the end of a ball here. And he just doesn't. I just feel like he's just another number in the attack.
If Rico Lewis was 5 million, would you buy him?
No, I don't think so. But I bought him at 4.4 or 4.5 or whatever it was. I bought him super cheap. So I've got a bit of value there. And I don't, it's, you know, given that I have 2 new injuries every week in my team, it's probably not.
He's probably
not a priority sell, to be honest with you. But
probably not. You're probably right.
Anyway, they look off it. No doubt about it. They need to get some players back, and they need to get back in the game. Like you say, it's the Spurs game up next, and then in 13, it's the trip to Anfield. I mean, goodness me, that is going to be an unbelievable game, isn't it? Unbelievable game.
They might as well give you the trophy.
Yeah, thank you for that.
I'm serious.
Right. Any other games, Sam? Any other games?
I'm taking a mic? No, I think we should get onto our teams. We've been talking about these games.
We probably should. We've already mentioned the fact you've broken Chris Wood, so we can't go there. I thought Newcastle were very good. Anthony Gordon off injured, one to keep an eye on potentially.
Isak is an option.
Isak is an option. With Gordon off injured and the fixtures looking good. Harvey Barnes maybe. Are we going to go there? Not waste, but spend one of those midfield slots on a Harvey Barnes? I don't think you are you? By the time you've got Rodgers, Mbeumo, Palmer, Saka, Salah,
Bruno.
It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. Anyway, well done, Newcastle fans. Fully deserved the win. Let's talk about our teams. I'll go first. Get it out of the way. 66.
What do you mean get it out of the way? That's good.
Well, it's good, but I want to talk about your wild card because you made some brilliant choices on your wild card. Yeah, I'm all right with it. It's fine. Flecken gets 1. Yay. Aït-Nouri with the 6, which he was lucky to get. Trent off with the 1. Yay. Should have got 6. Gabriel with the 2. Were it not for a Neto world, he could have had 6. But listen, it's not all sob stories. Salah with the... My transfers in this week were Cunha and Salah, so I'm not going to complain about that.
You captain Salah, no?
Captain Salah as well, yeah. Jimenez chips in with an assist, which is good. Brian chips in with an assist as well. 66 is all right. It's all right, and it's certainly trending in the right direction. Overall points of 644, 1.1, which of course is not where we want to be, but you know it's better than where we were last week after the tragedy that was game week 10. Game week 11 is a little bit better. An overall rank change of plus 27%. 2 weeks now to ponder it. I've spent my 2 transfers on Salah and Cunha, so I now don't have any transfer. Well, I have one, don't I, going into next game week. And I've got to think about doing Brennan Johnson to Palmer. That is what I am thinking. And maybe triple captain Mo Salah next week. We shall see. Oof. We shall see. I just had a look a minute ago. I don't quite have the money to do Brennan Johnson to Palmer direct. I would have to take some money out of a Watkins or possibly a Trent.
Or Rico Lewis.
Or Rico Lewis. We have to see. If Trent's injured, if Trent's got a hammy,
Mazarahi.
Even if Trent has got a hammy, even if he's fit, I might keep him for Southampton. But after that, who knows? Anyway, Palmer definitely on my mind for this run of fixtures from 12 for Chelsea, which look really, really good. Has been on my mind for a few weeks. It really has. So 66, I'm okay. We move. For you, on wildcard 63, up to 990k, an overall rank change of plus 20%. Talk us through the team. Very, very good. Look at that bloody Fabianski 9-pointer in there.
Let's
God.
Just say this really quietly. It's my first time in the million this year.
Yay!
Oh, hooray!
And at the beginning of the podcast, you said, I'm happy, but it's what could have been. And I agree with you, because if you were a captaincy choice away from this being a stunning game week.
So, right. I single-handedly blame for this.
Why?
Yeah. Who was my captain on all week?
You can't have a go at Wilco for blaming the app and then you're blaming Az.
I think we can all blame Az for a lot of things. Barco. Evan Ferguson a couple of seasons ago. Me captaining Solanke this week. Me triple captain, and I blame that on us as well. He said to me, "Come on, do it when we do it. When we do it. We captain Solanke and watching it. Blah blah blah." Did he captain Solanke as well? Yes, he did. Yeah, idiot. Same as me. Stupid decision from both of us. It was brave. It was probably on paper, it was the right thing. They had the worst XGI, worst XGC. We had the best XGI. It was all the stars aligned. I think
it was a perfectly good decision
until they didn't align, but it was fine. It would have been Salah otherwise. So I was never going Bruno. So I'm not worried about that. It would have been Salah if it wasn't Solanke. I'm not actually that upset about the captaincy though. I'm more upset about Dallo than I am about the captaincy because the captaincy is a decision and I made it for the right reason.
The Bruno 17 is just absolutely glorious, isn't it? It's absolutely glorious sitting in there.
To get 63 points and a green arrow like this with a captaincy fail feels really nice. And the decision to bench Raya for Fabianski.
Beto scored.
Honestly, I was trying to buy a bracelet. I've never been so angry in my life.
9 points for Fabianski. I couldn't believe it. How jammy is that?
Even I were looking at these bracelets and I was trying to decide which one I bought, which one to buy.
I'm just jealous. Got bloody flecking.
And he said it to me, and I didn't know whether to throw the thing at him or punch him in the face. In the end, I didn't either. Because he looked at me and he went, I'm joking, because I think my face was like, I'm going to kill
I've had Flecken now for 4 or 5 weeks and I had to just put up with Dross. And you've had Fabianski 1 week and got a 9-pointer. I could not believe it.
Yeah.
Could not believe it.
So, yeah, it does feel like what could have been because Dallo, I mean, he should have got the clean sheet. Vardiol could have scored right at the death.
How do you feel about your front line now, though? Strand, Larson, Wood and Solanke doesn't scream... Well, a wild card front three.
So Wood will be benched next week anyway, as per the plan, because Rodgers has got the better fixture next week, and that was always my intention anyway, because that's the rotation stuff, so that's fine. Solanke was only ever staying for game week for this week, and then potentially for 13. There was always an opportunity for me to sell Solanke this week.
Right.
So in my head, the transfer I was supposed to be making this week was to swap Bruno for Saka, but I always knew that I might not want to do that.
Depending on what Bruno looked like, and the answer is very good.
And the answer is, of course, very good, and so I'm not going to change that. So now the question is, well, do I want to go for Saka, or do I want to wait a week on Saka again because of Forest, plus the injury? I think absolutely that's what I want to do. So
you can't sell Bruno now ahead of, what is it, Ipswich away?
Oh, I definitely wouldn't sell Bruno, in order to get Saka, if I wanted to go there, as I said, I could do Mbomo, but I don't want to do that because I quite like his fixture for next week as well. So I think, the question for me is going to be, do I want to, given what we've just said about that Man City defence, I be surprised if Spurs go up there and score? No, we often go there and score. We play well, usually, when we go to the Etihad. So I'll give Solanke another week. Strand Larson,
Do you feel like you've picked the wrong Wolves forward?
I couldn't have Cunha, so no, I
All
don't,
right.
because I didn't have the budget for Cunha. Had I had Cunha, I couldn't have had Bruno. So
Right, okay, fair play.
It was one of those. So for me, no, I don't feel annoyed about that. My bigger conversation with myself is going to be in after game week 11. No, after game week 12. Do I want to go Strand Larson to João Pedro?
Yeah.
That's the conversation.
Yeah, I think yes.
I think yes, but I'm not doing anything about that yet because João Pedro's literally come on for like 20 minutes. So we'll wait it out. Do I love the front three? No. Do I love the midfield? Yes. Do I think that the
Palm already in place looks good, doesn't it?
Do I think that the defence looks solid as well? Because obviously I'm not really regularly going to play Fabianski. I'm going to be playing Raya most weeks. The defence I'm happy with. Vardiol could, yes, absolutely. I could take some money out of Vardiol, absolutely.
I think you're ahead of the game on Newcastle defence as well. I can see Hall being popular in a couple of weeks after a couple of clean sheets, maybe. So I think you're ahead of the game there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm playing Lewis Hall next week. So at the moment I've got Lewis Hall playing.
Set Van der Berg, don't worry about that. Brentford don't do clean sheets. I can tell you that.
But he's my third sub. He's basically Barco, but he actually kicks a ball.
He's just in the league. Yeah.
He's just here. So, he's already an upgrade because he's actually here. He's in the country.
Yeah.
He turns up at the stadium every week and gets a start.
He might make mistakes, but at least he's in the league.
He would get me a point off the bench if I needed him.
Yeah.
Barco, he's sunning himself out in Spain. What's the point? Look, it's fine. I'm happy. I'm happy with this wildcard team.
The midfield is spot
I like it. I didn't... Did I feel... I was going to say, did I feel uncomfortable not having Haaland?
Not this week.
I think... No, but even before it kicked off, I kind of just made peace with it.
Yeah.
Like, I've just sort of gone...
When he scored the goal, because we both sold him this week, you on wildcard and me as part of my transfers.
Yeah.
When he scored the goal, we both looked at each other and we were like,
Yeah,
it's Haaland. What did you think? He was never going to score again? It's Haaland.
We weren't like... I wasn't devastated because I know it's coming. It just had to... The players I had... and I think I said to you at the time, as long as Salah does the same, we're fine.
Yeah.
Because and Salah doesn't have to do the same because the difference is that the forwards get less points for their goals and all of that good stuff. They also don't get the clean sheet points and they have to do a lot more to get the bonus points. So the midfielders...
Salah's 7th double-digit haul this season.
Yeah, I know, in 11 weeks.
Mad.
And actually last week he got 9. So
he's unlucky not to.
He's unlucky not to get one then. So I think that's the thing, isn't it? When you're looking at these players and when you're looking at Haaland, it's like, okay, for Haaland to get a huge return... He's got to get more than Salah. They can't get the same because Salah will always outscore him if they get the same because he's a midfielder. So I want to go big in the middle. I've been big in the middle and I'm happy with them.
There we go. All right. Very, very good. Indeed, 63 points and in good shape for the international break. Very, very good, Sam. Tell the good people of the FPL family live stream here on a Sunday night what is coming up this week. But before you do, I just want to give a shout out to Simon Nigel the Crab who says, Barco, Sam, just for your information, it's not really working out for him in Sevilla. He might be back in January.
I don't want him back. He's not even playing, is he, Barco?
It doesn't sound like it.
I don't think
according
he's
to
even
Simon,
playing.
no.
No, it's pointless. He's not a generational talent, as.
I feel like As is never going to live this down, this Barco thing. You've got to let it go at some stage.
No.
No? Okay, fine.
I'm going to bring it up every Q&A.
All right. What's going on this week?
So I'm going to be on Off the Bench in the morning.
Are you? Very good.
Off the Bench tomorrow.
With who?
Well, it's a little bit rogue this week.
Go on.
Because Harry couldn't make it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So we went around the houses.
Yeah.
Where no one could really make it. So Chris from Scout is coming on with me.
Oh my God, right, okay.
So me and Chris from Scout, Chris is the CEO of Scout, are off the bench in it together tomorrow. So that could be fun. It'll be his first appearance on a Premier League podcast. So that's happening tomorrow. And then later on in the week, Jules Kelly and I will be back. She's had another stinker.
Has she?
Yeah.
What's she done?
Well, she's still got Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
She's got DCL still. Why?
No one knows, Lee. No one knows.
Oh,
but I tell you what, a little shout out to Ian Irving, because sometimes he does listen. He's had a flyer this week. He brought in Bruno Fernandes and Cunha this week.
Of course, he's Man United fan, isn't he? He's proud of bringing Bruno.
Yeah, he's loved.
We'll get
He's
excited
captain
about
Salah. He's very happy.
Yeah.
He got like 82 or something this week.
Oh.
He's absolutely fine.
Good Lord.
He's gone above both Jules and Kelly. He's been behind them. I saw him shoot up our
He does
little
this. I feel like Ian Irvin he does this. He's just like, he lingers. And then he'll have like 2 or 3 amazing go. Like he'll just suddenly go from like here, like just like poodling along to suddenly bang. I'm here.
Yeah.
And then he's up there now.
He's been at like 4
So
million, and all of a sudden he's like above Jules
100K.
and Kelly. Yeah, what are you doing? So those 2 things this week. Obviously, it's an international break, so we'll be a little bit quieter on the content front this week.
Yes.
Off the bench, and the main pod will be continuing as normal.
No live stream for us next Sunday. We'll have a week off, shall we? International break.
We don't normally live stream in the middle of an international break, do we?
We'll have Ohana's and we'll have Ask Us Anything.
We'll have an Ask Us Anything.
Yeah.
I will come and put that. I will give you more notice. In fact, I might even put it in there tonight. And then you've got all the opportunity in the world because sometimes I forget, and then they go, "Are we doing it?" And I go, "Oh yeah," and then they go, "We've got like 2 hours or something for us to do it before we record." But I'll try and pop it in the chat either today or tomorrow, and then you can drop in your Ask Us Anything chats for that.
Patreon.com/FPLFamily if you'd like a podcast in the week where you can ask us anything. FPL, non-FPL. They are really good fun. We have some ridiculous questions from the patrons. So if you want to come and join us for that, patreon.com/FPLFamily.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Anything else going on this week? Obviously no Sky Sports or anything. The one thing I will shout out is that I am on the Sky Sports podcast.
Oh yeah, I forgot about you.
Yeah. I know. I don't forget about myself. I'm on the Sky Sports Fantasy podcast with James Savandra and with Mr. Briggs, with Mark Briggsy on Tuesday. So look out for that. That's it.
So we have actually got 3 pods to do this week between us.
So you think it'd be a quieter
And
week
Ask
because
Us
of
Anything.
international break, but absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not.
Be busy, actually.
There it is, guys. Well done, Sam, with your with your wild card, not with your podcast, with your wild card, with your Bruno, and with your Fabianski. I can't believe the Fabianski. 9 points for Fabianski. Absolute week ruiner that was for me. But thanks for joining us tonight, guys. Leave us a like before you go. If you enjoyed the live stream, hit the subscribe button. We will see you in a couple of weeks from now. So we won't be here next week because it's international break. So listen out for us on all the different podcasts that we just mentioned. Otherwise, we'll see you in a couple of weeks on Sunday where we'll be looking back at game week 12 to see how we got on in that. All right, thanks for joining us. See you soon.
Enjoy the international football, guys. Bye.